So let's start working with JavaScript objects. In JavaScript, an object is very similar to an array in a lot of ways. Objects have properties attached to them, and these properties are defined by you when you are creating the objects, and you have access to these properties and the values using a dot in JavaScript. So let's start working with the code. We're gonna add something here, objects, and you define, for example, an object using a variable using const or let. I'm going to add a const right here. We're gonna define a person. It's going to be equals. The first difference between an array and an object is that when you are creating arrays, you use the square brackets. In the case of objects, you will use the braces or curly braces like this. And this is going to be a good indicator that this is an object in JavaScript. So as I said before, you have to add a property. So we're going to add, for example, right here, I'm going to add name, and this is going to be the property. And then we give a value. I'm going to add my name. You can add yours. Then we're going to add the last name. This can be first name in this case. First name and last name. And I'm gonna add my last name. Then we add a comma, and notice that we have same as we have in arrays. In between each of these properties, you will have a comma. Then we're going to add a comma, and we're going to add another property. This one is going to be job. It's going to be web developer. Then we add a comma, and then I'm going to add another one, an email, email@mail.com, something like this. And this is going to be our object. So we can send this to the console.log person, and save this. And now you can see we have the object right here on the console. So if you remember, when we were working with arrays, we access them by the position, by the index. In this case, you will access this by this property, and you need to add a dot right here. Dot, and I'm gonna add, for example, first name. And this is going to print only Juan right here. You can, for example, copy this and paste. And I'm gonna add, for example, the email right here, save this. Now you can see we have the name, and we also have the email. There is another syntax with the square brackets, and then you add email. And this property should be inside single quotes like this, email and email. This is similar to associative arrays in PHP, but this one is more common when you are developing in JavaScript. Using the dot is going to be much more common these days. So for example, you can see that we added this object. This has 4 properties, and all of them are strings, but an object can't hold any data type. So we're going to add more info right here. I'm going to add a comma where we can add something like an age. So for example, I'm going to add my age. Then we add a comma. You can add, for example, also an array, favorite music. An array, you can add something like trance, comma, rock, comma, grunge, comma, and then you add another property. So for example, you can have also an object inside another object. Living, and we're gonna open the curly braces here. So for example, my city is Guadalajara, and my country is Mexico. And right here, I'm going to add another one. So you can also add, for example, get age. You can also add functions. It's going to be a function, and this is going to return 31 like this. So let's access these values. You can see that we have first name. It's going to be right here. Let's access this age, for example. This one is different, and we're gonna add age right here. You can see we have 31. We can also add this favorite music, and you can see we're gonna have the array right here, and also this other object called living. So copy and paste right here, and you can see we have the other object. And also this method, copy this and paste, and we're going to have here get age. You need to add the parentheses right here. You can see we have 31. When you're developing with objects, there is a keyword that is really important, and it's called the this keyword. This, like this, it's going to be really important. So let's add, for example, instead of having this get age and return 31, we can add something like this. I'm going to add a return new date, and then we're going to add get full year. This is going to return the current year. You can see we have 2080. And we're gonna rename this function to born year, like this. And I'm gonna show you something. I want to print the year where I was born. So you can add something like minus 31, and this is going to print 1987. We have the age right here, so if I add something like minus age, you can see that we have a problem. It says age is not defined. So here is the importance of using the this keyword. When you have an object like this, you can access other properties, for example this age or this job, by adding the this keyword, this.age. And now you can see that we have the year where I was born. So let's add another method. Normally a function is called a method when it's inside an object. So we're gonna add comma right here, and I'm gonna add something like get job. This is going to be a function that is going to return this job like this. It's going to be really simple. I'm gonna remove all of these, and I'm gonna change the born year to get job. And now you can see we have get web developer here on the console. And you can see we have web developer and everything is working just fine. So an object can hold a lot of different data types, a lot of information. Even it can hold functions, you can see here. So they are a really important topic in JavaScript. So finally, let's review, for example, arrays and objects in one example. I'm gonna remove everything from here. And we're gonna create an array of objects. So we're going to add let cars. This is going to be an array. You can see we have the square brackets, but then I'm gonna open the braces. So this is going to be an object. Then we're gonna have a model. We're going to add Mustang. Then we're gonna add the engine. It's going to be 6.0. Not really sure if that's the engine that you will find in a Mustang, but this is just an example. Model, Camaro. Then we're gonna add engine. Let's add something like 6.1. And finally, let's add another one, model, Challenger. And the engine is going to be 6.1. So notice that the last item in the array doesn't have the comma right here, and also the last item in the object doesn't have the comma right here. So if we send this to the console, console.log cars, you can see that we have an array, and this array contains 3 different objects. So how you can loop through this array of objects, you can add something like this, and I'm gonna add 4, and of course we're gonna cover 4 in upcoming videos, but I'm gonna show you something. Let e equals to 0. This is going to be the initialization of the for loop. Then we're gonna loop this cars.length. So we're gonna run this only 3 times, and then we're gonna increase the value. This is a standard for loop. You can see we have something like this. The for loop is in 3 parts: the initialization, then the condition, and then the increment. Finally, we're going to add something like console.log, and we're going to add cars. So inside this, we're going to add the square brackets, and we're going to add the position. This position is going to be E. So we're going to start at position 0. Then we're going to increment, so it's going to be 0, then it's going to be 1, and then it's going to be position 2. So this is going to print the 3 values. That, and we want to print the model like this. Save this, and now you can see we have Mustang, Camaro, and Challenger. And this is going to be really common when you are developing in JavaScript. Create arrays or objects and loop through them using the for loop. Also, there are many ways to loop through an array or an object. There are several methods. We're going to cover those in upcoming videos. So this is going to be it for the objects. In the next video, let's review again const when we are working with objects, and arrays. So let's continue working in the next video.